Today we are going to be learning how to divide a decimal by another decimal. So just like in previous videos before, when you're dividing decimals, the division steps are the same as they would be if you're using whole numbers. So step 1 is to divide, number 2 is multiply, number 3 is subtract, number 4 is bring down, and then you start all over again until you can get to 0. Now one thing I'd like to mention that we've mentioned before in previous lessons is that when you're dividing decimals, if you get to a point in your problem where you have no more numbers to bring down, however you're still not at 0, you have to make sure that you add zeros to your number so that you can find an actual answer. You cannot have a remainder when you're dividing by decimals. So let's look at number 1 here. So for number 1, I have 1 and 32 hundredths divided by 4 hundredths. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get rid of my decimal in my problem. So I need to get rid of this decimal, and I'm going to move it over twice. And then whatever you do to the outside, you also have to do to the inside. So that means I'm also going to move this one over twice, just like this. So now I'm just going to erase some lines. So my decimal is now over here. So essentially what I did is I changed my problem into 132 divided by 4. Now I'm going to put this decimal here just so I remember where it is. Now I'm going to divide like normal. So 4 can't go into 1, but 4 can go into 13 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. So I'm going to subtract, and I get 1. Bring down my 2. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract, and I get to 0. So for this problem in particular, I didn't have to add any extra zeros because I did get to 0 all on my own. And if I move my decimal straight up, I don't actually have a decimal number, it's just a whole number, so I don't even need to include my decimal. And my answer is just 33. Let's try a second example. So for this one, I'm going to get rid of my decimal on the outside, so I'm going to move it over once. That means whatever I do to the outside, I have to do to the inside, so I'll also move this one over one time. So my new problem would be 202 and 5/10 divided by 9. So this one most likely will have a decimal in the answer. So I'm just going to shoot my decimal right up to the top. And then I'm going to divide like normal. So 9 cannot go into 2, but it can go into 22 times. So 2 times 9 is 18. If I subtract, I get 2. Then I can bring down my 2. 9 goes into 22 2 times. 2 times 9 is 18. 22 minus 18 is 4. Bring down my 5. 9 goes into 45 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45. Subtract, and I get to 0. So my answer for 20 and 25 hundredths divided by 9/10 is 22 and 5/10. This is how you can divide by decimals.